Sup everyone, I'm your female otaku, and I'm here to review Volume 3 of A Silent Voice. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be really tough to beat this volume. This was such a great read. Oh my goodness, it was so real, relatable. Fantastic. The drama, the comedy was really great too. Tomohiro, best boy, you know what? It's Tomohiro. I love it, man. Such a fantastic volume. But let's just dive into it. Shoko wants to meet up with Miyoko, the girl who was interested in learning sign language back over in elementary school. So Ishida and Shoko, they go to try to find Miyoko. It doesn't really work out at first, but then later on, Ishida ends up finding Miyoko, and oh my gosh, that girl should be a supermodel. She should be a model. Even though she wears heels, she's still pretty tall on her own. Girl looks amazing with that haircut, man. Oh my gosh. Seriously, someone put her into modeling, please. And Ishida gets Shoko and Miyoko together to become friends again. And Miyoko is really friendly with Shoko. And Miyoko has also been trying to learn sign language and is now practicing with Shoko. And that's really great to see. Miyoko is such a nice person. I'm so glad she's back and being brought into Shoko's life because she's a friend that Shoko really needs. Ishida kind of got a little jealous of Miyoko though, because she was asking all the questions that Ishida himself was nervous to ask. And then Ishida, he started thinking, dude is so guilty, man. He feels so incredibly terrible for what he did to Shoko, because now he feels guilty for taking away all the stuff that she could have had in her childhood. Because seeing Shoko happy with Miyoko, he was like, I took that away from her. This friendship could have been like this for years. But he feels that he took that away from her. And ooh, man, the guilt just keeps piling up. I really like how they show the realities of growing up, because people do change, but also some people do not change. It kind of reminds me like when someone moves. I'm gonna use myself as an example because I moved from my old school, like my town, back when I was in 7th grade. I was 12. I was 12 and I was bullied back over at my old town. And then when I moved over to this town, I made a couple awesome friends and I'm happy over here. And later on, a couple of years later, I'd say sophomore year of high school, so I was about 16. I was 16 around that time. I ended up finding those people who bullied me on Instagram. So I wanted to see how they were like. Some of them did change while others practically the same. And I don't mean physically. No, I mean their actions. Like some of the things that I see them do on Instagram, I'm like, oh boy, you never changed, did you? For example, with Naoka. Naoka, she came back, and she was a character I did not expect to see again. Since we're getting more of these characters coming back, like we saw Miki, we saw Naoka, we saw Miyoko, something tells me that we're soon going to see Ishida's old guy friends, the ones who ended up ditching him later on. We come to find out that Naoka actually had a crush on Ishida the entire time, but she didn't exactly change too much. She liked the old Ishida. And her character reminded me so much of people that I know today. The type of girl who, even though she knows she's doing something bad, she doesn't feel like apologizing for it. Even though she's confronted of what she did, she just nervously laughs and just like pushes it aside and stuff. She's just like, anyway. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this girl. I really like that these characters are not just characters. They're more like people, to be relatable. And I like that. It's so realistic, and I love it every single time when a manga or an anime does that. Naoka actually goes up to Shoko and rips out her hearing aid, gives it to Ishida, and she's like, so, you gonna throw it again just like old times? And he's just like, no, and takes the hearing aid, brings it back over to Shoko. Oh man, that hit me. I got so mad. I got really mad. And Ishida, he's gonna treat Naoka just like someone else in the background. I really like what they use the X for. The X that they put on top of background characters, because it shows you who he cares about. Sometimes it's not just a person in background. Sometimes it's just a person who is just dead to Ishida. For example, with Miki, the class rep, she had the glasses and everything, like, we can clearly see that it's her, and he knows that it's her. However, he just doesn't really care for Miki, so he just treats her like someone in the back, even though he goes up to her, talks to her, and even asked for Naoka's email address. Still, he really doesn't care for Miki, and I like what they use the X's for. I just want to point that out. And finally, the manga ends with Shoko speaking, and she had her hair up in a ponytail, which looked really, really cute. But Shoko was speaking, and Ishida, he was trying his best to understand what she was trying to say, but ultimately he just couldn't. So he was just like, no, use sign language, and that kind of hurt Shoko. So what caused Shoko to act like this? And at the very end, she says, I love Moo. Obviously trying to say I love you, but Ishida didn't exactly get that. If for some reason you've been watching this review and you haven't started A Silent Voice, read it, please. Please read it. Please read this. This was such an amazing volume, and I have volume 4 right here with me now, so I'm just gonna start it right away. I'm your female otaku, sayonara.